As technology continues to integrate into our society, cyber attacks are now capable of inflicting more damage than conventional warfare, but with a much lower barrier of entry. Because of this, cyber warfare is not limited to conflict between nation-states, but also conflict with terrorist groups or within countries, with the two main areas of cyber warfare being espionage and sabotage. Microsoft has released a policy paper addressing the need for a digital Geneva Convention, focusing on protecting the public from threats in cyberspace. As information technology became more integral within our society, many companies have adopted software to help with certain processes. Over time, newer versions of software are released, but many companies and even government agencies choose to continue using outdated software due to a high cost of new software implementation. Outdated software programs are often no longer supported by their developers, leaving holes in the security and giving people more time to find vulnerabilities. A notable example of this was the WannaCrypt malware attack in May 2017, and Microsoft felt obligated to release new security patches for operating systems which they no longer officially support, such as Windows XP and Windows Server 2003. Perhaps the most worrying issue is with government agencies using aging IT systems. An audit on aging information technology systems was conducted in 2010 on 5 different agencies, including the Canada Revenue Agency, Public Works and Government Services Canada, Human Resources and Skills Development Canada, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and Citizenship and Immigration Canada. The audit revealed many existing security concerns within these government organizations due to aging IT systems. Most organizations properly identified the risks aging IT systems pose, but risk management and monitoring can be improved. Another issue is insufficient funding for initiatives to address risks related to aging IT systems. The Chief Information Officer branch did not exercise its central leadership position and had no formal strategic directions on how to mitigate these risks. Important systems including the Personal Income Tax and Benefits Return Administration System and Employment Insurance Program had significant security and breakdown risks related to aging IT. The government has released a strategic plan for information management and information technology in 2017. The strategic plan provided a high-level strategy, but no concrete steps. Also, there were no further audits on the state of the IT systems used by Canadian government agencies after 2010. Updating IT systems are expensive, multi-year initiatives which require effective planning and proper funding. It is unlikely that all risks were addressed, as the 2010 audit revealed that there wasn't enough funding for many of these initiatives, while the government took the better part of a decade to come up with a strategy with no concrete results. As one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world, many Canadians are ignorant when it comes to the possible adverse effects of becoming reliant on cyber technology. With social media usage on the rise, more people are sharing their lives online than ever before, including sensitive personal information. Furthermore, daily activities often require an online presence, such as banking, working, and cloud storage. This large amount of information is hard to keep completely safe, and with multiple different companies hoarding information, it is susceptible to hacking. For example, in late 2018, Facebook faced a data breach of over 15 million emails and phone numbers from 30 million targeted accounts due to an unintentional loophole in one of its functions. Even if the Canadian government is prepared for malicious cyber attacks, Canadians are not as wary and are relying on technology that is supposed to keep sensitive information safe. According to statistics, there are 7.6 million Canadians who are active on Twitter, and about 14 million Canadians who check their Facebook newsfeed every day. This result makes Canadians the most active users on Facebook in the world. With this large of a population, Canadians are more susceptible to posting personal information on Facebook and exposing themselves to potential danger. A survey was conducted by Allstate Insurance that polled 1,000 Quebecois, and almost a quarter of them admitted that they had posted information about when they were away from home before. If robbers were actively looking for posts on Facebook, these people would have been the first to be targeted. This shows that the Canadian population is not well prepared for the age of cyber warfare because we host a large amount of information online, and we do not yet understand the full scope of the potential consequences of releasing our privacy online. Looking at the world's top tech corporations, Canadian companies do not even break the top 100. Countries with strong technological corporations like the US and China are better prepared for cyber warfare due to the support of these companies and their expertise in the forefront of information technology. The competitiveness of tech companies is important in today's society and must be considered when evaluating a country's strength in cyber warfare. The Huawei case is an indication of the role tech companies are playing in cyber warfare between countries. The main thrust of the US push versus Huawei is that the company is inextricably bound with the ruling Chinese Communist Party, and that its equipment, especially its superb 5G telecom equipment, will either be embedded with backdoors that will allow the Chinese government to spy, or that it will have no choice but to permit Chinese government access to the traffic that flows through its equipment. Although there is no concrete evidence of Huawei's ties to the Chinese government, it is easy to see that tech companies are becoming more important in international relations. Traditional warfare is fought between countries, but cyber warfare revolves around technology companies. In Canada, a lot of the technologies we use are not developed by domestic companies. Thus, the countries these products are from gain leverage and control over the lives of Canadians. If the technology we use is weaponized or used in political conflicts, the Canadian government has limited options without help from strong domestic tech companies. If the public isn't directly affected by cyber warfare, people will not be concerned about it, even if governments are severely impacted. Very few current cyber technologies being used daily by Canadians are developed by Canadian companies. Because of this, companies can exert political influence over many Canadians, and the government has no control over that.
Due to a lack of cybersecurity standards, Canada is becoming increasingly vulnerable to cyber attacks. Even though there is a significant possibility of threat, Canada does not have a national cybersecurity standard, leaving the personal information of Canadians as well as critical infrastructure vulnerable to attack. Although the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Document Act exists to protect the information Canadian consumers give to companies, the Privacy Commissioner does not have any power to enforce it or to impose fines if companies do not comply. Another related national publication is the National Cybersecurity Strategy. It states the impact and growth of cyber risks, the importance of data protection, and the role that governments should play in cybersecurity. However, only information and suggestions are provided, with no mandatory rules to follow.
Other countries have more definitive regulations. The European Union rolled out the General Data Protection Regulation, which mandates that EU residents must comply with the regulation to protect personal or organizational data. Also, the Network and Information Systems (NIS) regulations were released by the UK on April 20th, 2018. The NIS includes many duties for the operators of essential services and the digital service providers, and if these duties are not met, severe penalties may be incurred. In cyber warfare, it is crucial to protect our own data and keep it private. With the growth of the cyber world and as more information is being stored online, the national security measures used in the digital storage of data becomes increasingly important. Canada is currently in the midst of updating their cybersecurity standards, but it is still far behind in terms of cyber protection and best practices when compared to other developed countries in the world. As we enter the age of cyber warfare, Canada has a lot of catching up to do in order to effectively protect our citizens. Many Canadian companies and government agencies continue to use outdated software, taking on many security risks. The public is not well educated on cybersecurity and protecting their own privacy online as we use technology and services developed by companies from foreign nations. With no clear national standard to uphold, we are woefully at risk and in dire need of a digital Geneva Convention.